So this is a topic I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time now, but unfortunately, I just haven't really got around to this topic because I just had other videos I've been wanting to make and talk about, and I just never really had the time to just sit down and actually talk about this topic I'm about to discuss with you folks because this is something I really wanted to discuss with you and I guess take a moment to talk about because Baldur's Gate 3, for those of you who weren't aware, I mean, it has been dominating the entire game industry since the game even launched. There are a lot of people that are fans of D&D, also known as Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of people, especially in the D&D community, have been absolutely praising this game even if you're not into Dungeons and Dragons, like if you're just looking for a good game to play, I mean, this game has been taking the internet by storm as my phone went off. But Baldur's Gate 3 has been so well received. I think it's even got like a 97 on Metacritic, and it's one of the must play games. And to make matters even better, Baldur's Gate 3, correct me if I'm wrong here, has even won Game of the Year for 2023 because the game was just so well received and so well polished, and there's just so many things to do in the game. Now, personally, I'm trying to get myself into the Dungeons and Dragons series. I mean, I have little miniatures or figures I have sitting on my desk in a box right now, and I've been painting a lot of D&D figures, especially the Dragonborn races. Those guys are pretty cool, but I digress. But the point being is I want to get Baldur's Gate 3. I really think it's a game that I might enjoy. I want to buy the game, but $70 is just a little too much for me personally. But the point I'm trying to make here and I'm trying to get at is Baldur's Gate 3 has just been received so dang well in the game industry. It's like it's trying to be a new standard towards other game developers. And game developers are actually pretty scared of Baldur's Gate 3's success. And they're thinking to themselves, like, holy shit, is this the new standard for the game industry? Because everyone's expecting a fully polished product and everyone's expecting all the content to be there at launch. And a lot of developers are pretty scared right now. You look at games like Call of Duty from Activision, and oh, trust me, I have absolutely no faith and no hope left in that franchise. I've given up on Call of Duty. Because we look at games like Call of Duty, for example, where the game just comes out completely buggy and broken right out of the gate. The first few weeks are pretty much unplayable, and the game just shoves a bunch of pay to win microtransactions in your face and half of the features in the game are not even there at launch, and the developers give out a roadmap showing everyone, hey, this is the content that's going to be coming into the game later in the life cycle because we're making it a live service. And basic features like ranked play that should be in the game at launch, it's pretty much in a roadmap and they're going to be added as a basic feature like 3 years from later because why do we need ranked mode at launch? No, we don't need to make a fully polished game. We can't have all the content in the game at launch. No, that's too much work. We have to make a cookie cutter copy and paste product and just fix it later. That will be fine, right? Last time I checked, the entire Call of Duty community is still furious, especially with the current state of Call of Duty. The COD franchise has gotten so bad. It's gotten to the point where pretty much it's in abandoned ship mode, and people are just abandoning the COD franchise and they're just gonna move on to better games like Baldur's Gate 3 because unlike Call of Duty, Baldur's Gate 3 puts the entire COD franchise to shame with what Baldur's Gate 3 has to offer. Because Baldur's Gate 3, once again, it's been received very well. People love it. It's a finished product. All the content's there at launch, and everyone is pretty much getting scared of Baldur's Gate 3's success. But companies like Activision and EA don't recognize that. The only thing they recognize is the mighty dollar bill, and they just want to squeeze more money out of people because all they see is just dollar signs, and all they want to do is hit their profit quotas and try to impress their investors. Now, I get it. You need to make a good sales quota and you need to hit those profit goals to impress your investors. I get that. But you can also do that as well by taking time to develop the game and actually deliver a product that people enjoy. And guess what? Baldur's Gate 3 has nailed all those quotas. Here's another example I kind of want to make. We look at games like Madden, developed from EA, where the game is just a complete corporate pay to win cash cow, which is a copy paste pile of dog shit every single year, and there's just no care and no passion in the game. It's pretty much another version of Call of Duty where it's just trying to be a pay to win cash cow. But unlike Call of Duty and Madden, at least Baldur's Gate 3 has content and it actually has everything to offer for people to enjoy. And you see a certain piece of gear that you want to get, you can get that certain piece of gear by just simply killing that enemy or killing that one NPC that you don't really give a damn about. If you see a piece of gear on like a really powerful boss, you can get that gear by defeating the boss. You don't need to spend $50 on a fucking bundle that makes you invisible or that can give you superpowers and shoot lasers from your fucking eyes or something like that. Something Call of Duty or Madden would do. But no, in Baldur's Gate 3, you can actually just get those rewards right then and there by simply just either grinding the game or by beating that very tough level or completing that chapter. Now, I want to bring this part up just for the shits and giggles. So, you all know that Call of Duty is supposed to be the best selling game every single year, but surprisingly, last year in 2022, Call of Duty was not the best selling game. It was actually Elden Ring. Elden Ring was the best selling game last year because people enjoyed it and people loved the content in the game and people really were happy with how the game was released and handled and everything. I mean, usually Dark Souls games are a hit or miss with some people. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of Dark Souls games, but Elden Ring, I really enjoyed my time with it. I beat the game and I've beat it on New Game Plus as well. I definitely showcase some gameplay on the channel. I do love Elden Ring. It's a fantastic game that's worthy of Game of the Year, and it did win Game of the Year last year in 2022. And it was the best selling game and it deserved it. And here in 2023, Call of Duty, once again, it's not the best selling game. It got put to shame by Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is the best selling game. It's not Call of Duty once again. It just seems like whenever a good game comes out now, like Baldur's Gate 3, it's just so rare and it's just turned into I don't want to say a massive fight pit, but it just pisses off a lot of game developers because they're afraid that, oh no, people are going to move away from our current product. Because why would people play an unfinished, broken product at release? And this has been the modern gaming trend for a while now. And unfortunately, if your competitors make a better product than you, then a good portion of your customers and a good portion of those people that you constantly disappoint, they're going to move to your competitors and they're going to buy their products and praise that product instead of yours. Because, again, it just seems like every time a good game comes out, it's just so rare to see nowadays. So, Baldur's Gate 3, it deserves to be Game of the Year, and it deserves to be the best selling game as well, because it's just we don't get good games this often anymore. And game developers like Activision and EA and Ubisoft, they need to take notes and they need to get a goddamn reality check. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to a certain point where if you piss off your customers or your players enough, they're gonna leave the franchise and give up on your studio entirely, and they're gonna move on to your competitors, and they're gonna enjoy their product and praise it more. Because we just don't see good games like Baldur's Gate 3 anymore. And because we're in this modern gaming trend where we release a game broken and unplayable and fix it later, that's been taking over the entire game industry. But with Baldur's Gate 3, it just seems like this could give developers a wake up call. So hopefully, this will send a message to those developers out there that Baldur's Gate 3 is a good example of how good video games should be going forward. So, with that being said, thank you everyone for watching and for listening. And until next time, I'm talking about Baldur's Gate 3 success, and I'll see you all later.